All right, guys, just want to welcome back to the Everything College Football podcast. Today I'll be doing a preview and prediction for a massive Week 12 showdown in the SEC between Texas and Georgia. Bulldogs 6.5 point favorites, 49.5 is the total, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC from Athens. Again, they started with the Longhorn offense on the Bulldog defense. For Texas, it's been a disappointing year overall on the offensive side of the ball, but the last couple of games they've really caught fire against Mississippi State and then Vanderbilt against Miss State. They looked dead in the water, down 3 scores there in that fourth quarter. They ended up rallying back to win that game in extras. The week earlier, they looked awful on offense, probably the worst performance of the year against Kentucky on the road. They came back home and they were blowing Vanderbilt out. 34-31 victory, but that game was really not that close, like at all. And Vanderbilt scored with a couple seconds ago to make it a one-score game. Texas was up big in that contest, mainly because of what their offense was able to do, led by Arch Manning. Back-to-back 300-yard games from him. This passing attack also had 7 touchdowns over those 2 games, so they've started to find a bit of a rhythm, which I figured early on in the season would be a problem for Texas. And they struggled a lot longer than I thought they would. But here we are in November, and it seemingly appears we found a bit of a stride on this side of the ball. Archie's also great with his legs. Everyone knows he's got some good speed, got some elusiveness as well. 6 rushing touchdowns on the year. Can he continue to find that accuracy though in the pass game? Throughout the year they've just lacked being in sync altogether. Whether it's from the QB, it's from receivers running the wrong routes or dropping the ball. It's just been a big disaster for Texas this year. But now that they've finally seemingly found something, I think this passing attack can continue to mount some momentum. You still have a very talented bunch of pass catchers. Ryan Wingo, 593 yards and 5 scores leading the way. DeAndre Moore, 379 right behind him. Parker Livingstone's been an impressive playmaker this year for him. Emmett Mosley, it looks like he's back in the fold now that he's healthy. And then Jack Andrews at tight end. So you still have a deep group of pass catchers for Texas. I think it goes even deeper than that with some younger cats. So this is a very nice group. You look at the Georgia defense, and the biggest problem for them that's really plagued them has been these slow starts. You seemingly see it every single week against Mississippi State. It only lasted for about a drive. They went downfield 70-plus yards for the opening score. Other than that, they shut them down in that game. But against Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, Alabama, even against Tennessee, I mean, you've seen it so often this year. They've had so many slow starts. And I think a big reason for that is just the inability to find pass rush. A lot of these teams have attacked them with quick game. You've seen Alabama do it to perfection in that first half. Ole Miss as well did it for 5 straight drives up and down the field. I mean, they were just torching this Georgia defense in the pass game. And then Auburn, they had a lot of success with the run game that only lasted a half. And they really stepped things up in the second half of these games. But at some point, it might cost them. I'm not sure if that's going to happen here. But these slow starts have been a big problem for a Georgia defense that's supposed to be one of the best in the country. Only 11 sacks on the year, most of which have come from these linebackers. They have great blitzes from their inside backers. C.J. Allen, the best player on this team, 75 tackles, 6 TFL, and team high 3.5 sacks. Also does his thing when it comes to coverage. Chris Cole has nice athletic ability. Raylan Wilson's a nice physical specimen there in the middle. So the linebackers dictate everything for Georgia. The good news is they have incredible amounts of talent, probably the most in the country at that position, and they've been thriving. But in terms of getting edge production, it's not really there. Gabe Harris, Quintavious Johnson, I mean, these guys have been respectable run defenders, but that's really it. Elijah Griffin on the interior, Xavier McLeod, Jordan Hall, some big size, right? But when you look at Christian Miller, he's going to be the top dog for them. Jordan Hall, I'm not sure what his injury status is because he only played a couple of snaps against Florida. I'll have to check into that, but it's just an example of how many big bodies they have, right? For Georgia, it's never going to be a problem. Miller, though, elite run defender, one of the best in the country. For Texas, are they going to be able to find any balance? I'm not sure. This offensive line's been very shaky. Quintravion Wisner has been great for them since coming back, but it's still been a strugglesome effort for this run game. Wisner gives them some added playmaking with his speed. He can also make you pay in the receiving game as well. So he's certainly going to be targeted a lot, or he's going to get a lot of touches, that is. But the Texas offensive line has been a big problem for them. Trevor Gooseby at left tackle, I think, he's having a good year. Other than that, though, it's been a big issue. Left guard, it's been an up and down possession for him. Connor Straw, I think, will continue to stay there. Over at center, Cole Hudson, been very iffy in pass protection. DJ Campbell's been the only guy that's really greatly consistent at right guard. And I think Brandon Baker's having a solid year at right tackle. Just a lot of penalties from him. Allows a lot of pressure as well. So offensive line for Texas with a lot of new guys coming in this season. I expected them to struggle, and they still are, it seems. We'll see what can happen with that group, though, against a physical Georgia defense. I think the secondary for the Bulldogs is definitely going to be vulnerable. You've seen it throughout the year. They just get targeted. Dalen Everett really hasn't been that great for them, even though he's been their best corner. Ellis Robinson's playing better football as of late. Still has a lot of struggles in his zone. DeMello Jones gets on the field a good bit, a respectable player. Just nothing too great from the secondary other than Joanel Aguero in the slot and then KJ Bolden at safety. Those two have been playing very good football. Bolden, especially as a run defender. So for Texas on the road, what kind of rhythm can they establish? It seems like they've found something with its pass game, and we'll see if Arch can continue to step up and be that playmaking quarterback that we expected when it comes to throwing from the pocket downfield. If that can continue against Georgia, they'll have a great shot of winning this game. Moving to the other side of things, the Georgia offense on the Longhorn defense for the Bulldogs. This group has been splendid this year. I'm very happy with what I've seen from Georgia's offense. They've been battle tested throughout the year because I alluded to a lot of those slow starts, and this team's been playing from behind a lot. I look at the Tennessee in the Ole Miss games where if they have to punt once, you're looking at a two-score deficit because that's how bad the defense had been struggling at times. And they've been able to play catch-up. They've been able to play possession-for-possession football with a lot of calmness. Gunnar Stockton has so much poise. I don't think he's getting enough credit for how he's played this year. This is a guy that has 22 total touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, completing 70% of his passes, has done damage of his legs in pretty much every game this year as well. His ability to make good throws from the pocket, I think, speak volumes to how his game is really elevated on a weekly basis. This is a very impressive pass game. I think with Zachariah Branch, what he's able to do in terms of his short area quickness has really benefited them. A lot of screens as well. If you blitz and they're throwing a screen to Branch, you're probably going to get beat. He's done that often this year. It's been a big problem for opponents, so Texas has to be wary of that. Colby Young being out for an extended period of time is not great. London Humphreys is going to have to step up. Dylan Bell, a bit of a Swiss Army knife. Doesn't have great production, but he's going to get you a first down or two per game. The tight ends and Oscar Delp. Elias Williams has even been stepping up. Then Lawson Lucky. It's a very deep group there. So plenty of nice pass catchers, very good football players to go around. What I like most about this Georgia offense is this year the run game has finally taken over. Last year it was an issue for them. They didn't have a single game of 200-plus yards against an FBS opponent, and that was a problem for them, right? And that's probably why they were not able to win as many games as we're accustomed to seeing. This year, though, they've really stepped it up. You're averaging about 200 yards on a weekly basis, put up 300-plus against Mississippi State. They got going against Florida at some point. Didn't really stay consistent, but it was good against Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama. This run game's really done work against some tougher opponents. Nate Frazier is coming off a great game against Miss State. Chauncey Bowens has been a nice physical runner. Josh McCray, you see him a little bit in goal line and short yardage. Even Dwight Phillips will occasionally get some handoffs. But it's really going to be the Frazier and Bowens show. And Nate's had some issues with his ball security and whatnot, but he's coming off 181 yards, which I imagine is certainly a career high for him on only 12 attempts. So showcasing his explosiveness, it's really because they just have this great offensive line. It's loaded with size, and they just play the game the right way. Monroe Freeling has progressed very well in pass pro at left tackle. Michael Morris at left guard continues to be a standout. Drew Bobo slotted him right in at center, and he's been flawless. The right guard position's a bit of an issue for him. A handful of different guys have been playing there, most notably Dontrell Glover. He's been respectable. And over at right tackle, it's also been a position in flux, but Ernest Green appears to be back at full health, so he's going to continue to start there at 6'4", 320. You're going up against a Texas defense. They're the top-ranked run defense in the country. It's one area that has also been pretty underrated for them. They played Vanderbilt, held them to under 60 yards. Mississippi State got crushed as well. They're not giving up much really to anybody. The game against Florida was kind of shocking, a bit of an outlier where they struggled to slow down the run in that contest. But this is a defense that still has a lot of size, a lot of depth on the defensive line. Hiro Kanu has came over and been elite for them. Ethan Burke's been very good against the run this year. Colin Simmons, you know what he can do against the run and as a pass rusher, one of the nation's best in that category. Murad Watson, Cole Brevard, Alex January, a lot of big size. Travis Shaw included on this D-line. It's a very nasty group. At linebacker, you have an immense amount of athletic ability in Anthony Hill, what he's able to do as a field patroller and in coverage. He just does a little bit of everything top tier. Leandro Lafau this year has really stepped up his play. Not so much in coverage, but against the run, I like what he's able to accomplish. And then Ty Anthony Smith added on some size, and he's been great getting downhill against the run. So this is a front six, front seven for Texas that's vastly underrated because, the Horns had a lot of struggles early this year. And the games against Mississippi State and Florida were not great for this defense. So people have really forgotten what the Longhorns can accomplish in Vanderbilt in that first half, really found out what this group is about. I think the secondary is definitely concerning. They're the big reason why they struggled in those games. Mississippi State had 382 yards passing in that one. Vanderbilt playing from behind had 365 yards. Not a very talented group. It's kind of concerning because they did make it a bit of a game there late and potentially could have put Texas in a bind if there was some more time on the clock. So this secondary needs to get back to playing good football. Jalen Gilbew, he transitioned over from the slot this year, hoping to have similar success to what they had last year at that position when they were able to win the Jim Thorpe Award, and he just has been able to. It's been respectable, but not great. Malik Muhammad also been a little bit inconsistent. I think Kobe Black is a guy they can look to attack in the secondary. So these guys need to cover a lot better than they have been. In the slot, you have a new player, Grayson Littleton's been playing some pretty solid football. Not great, but he's been all right. Jelani McDonald, that safety's been great against the run. And then Michael Taft, you're hopeful he's going to be good to go in this game. He's one of the most elite safeties in the country, great against the run, dictates a lot for them in the back end as well in coverage. And that's going to make this game a lot easier for them as well. Is he going to play in this game? I'm not sure. We'll see. He's coming back from a thumb injury. If I had to guess, potentially maybe a game-time decision, so you want to monitor that on Michael Taft. Great defense overall, though. The secondary's been causing a lot of problems for them. If they can amp up this pass rush a little bit, then I think they'll certainly have a lot more success. But in the trenches, it's going to be a nice battle to see these two, this run offense and this run defense, go up against each other, and that's ultimately going to dictate this game. Moving to the final thoughts on the prediction, this is a tough one to pick because last year Texas hosted Georgia, and they got smacked in the mouth in Austin. Now they're going to come on the road against a Georgia team that's been lackluster this year, mainly again due to those slow starts on defense. Their offense has been overcoming any kind of challenge that's been thrown at them, and the Longhorns are going to be another one with what they have in the defensive line and all the talent they have at linebacker and in the secondary. I think you're in store for more of a defensive affair here. Texas, a lot of people could point to some of their games over the last month and say, this is potentially a blowout opportunity. I just don't know if Georgia's really earned that right. They finally had a great game against Mississippi State after a long stretch of just some unimpressive games as a complete football team. And I think Texas, their passing attack, they've learned how to play football, it seems. I know that was a big struggle for them early on in the year. Offensive line's not all that great, but when it comes to roster by roster basis, they can match up with Georgia as good as anyone in the country. And I think this defensive line and run defense, they're going to come to play. It's going to make things a lot harder on Georgia when it comes to scoring the football. I think Texas can keep pace with them as 6.5-point underdogs, and I think the under's the best bet in this one. I don't think Georgia will ever be in danger of losing this game. I think Texas is going to be lingering around, waiting for Georgia to make a mistake or for Arch to make a giant play to really swing momentum. So I think Texas will hang around in this one. The Bulldogs ultimately getting the job done. Be a massive shocker if they lost the game, quite frankly. I'm going to pick them to win the game 24-20. It's going to be it for today's episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.